Hello and welcome to the Blue Amber Saga. It is Autism Awareness Week, and I wanted to follow on from my previous video about what autism is and talk about how it affects me. And so I have high functioning autism, which I personally prefer to keep calling it that, although it's a bit more of an outdated word, and compare that with living with autism spectrum disorder. And so, in effect, how autism works, so there tends to be kind of parts of the brain that I'm able to process things a lot faster with, and other parts which tend to be a lot more kind of slower. And so, a big effect on that is so the senses. So, on my strong side, yeah, I have a really strong sense of taste and hearing, and also touch. But on my slower side, then I have pain receptors and being able to tell temperature as to whether they're really hot or really cold. But also the perception of time as well, and just distances and danger factor as well is also something which tends to be on my slower side. So also on kind of my stronger side, so there's a kind of classic thing of hearing about people with autism having kind of specialist subjects or being really good at certain topics. So for me, I really love and I'm really good at maths and the sciences. And I think that's especially because of the kind of logical kind of flow and there being one right answer and you kind of able to learn um, why that is and things like that. But also that's linked with my strong sense in kind of observation and attention to detail. On my slower side, then English and the different languages I tend to struggle with a lot because um, the way that they were marked, especially when I was at school, was that it tended to be a lot more qualitative and that there is more than one answer. And it's actually really hard to actually work out what the rules are, as it were, in that. But also, that extends in terms of communication and social situations for me. And again, because there is just no real rule book to social situations and life as a whole, or at least one that I'm aware of. It may be possible for actually some of the faster parts of the brain to help out the weaker bits. And so, give an example with me. So, my reading ability and my writing, I really struggled with a lot. So, I used to have a scribe till I was 16, and I've just really struggled reading things as a whole and being able to understand what was going on half the time. And so when I was in secondary school, I had an English tutor which helped with this. But actually, one of the kind of big breakthroughs I had was through reading manga and kind of fan fiction. And so, this is an example of manga. We get this on the screen, and it's kind of like a comic in effect. Oh, bring it this way. There we go. And yeah, so you have all your kind of different scenes going on, and the kind of speech and the text and such within it, of which it's a really good kind of visual way of kind of going through a story. But one of the bits I loved about it is so the character development and the plots are really deep, and especially in terms of the character development side of things, because I'm always kind of trying to work that out as life as a whole through all the different social situations that I'm in, then actually discovering the reason behind why characters act in a certain way, really enjoy. But also another bit to it which I find interesting is so in these books and just books as a whole, there's normally at least three different voices going on. So you would have your narrator's voice describing the background and the scene. Then you would have your character's thoughts and what they are thinking. And then you would also have their actual speech of what they actually really did say in the end, which in a normal book it can be really confusing. But in manga, it's actually visibly displayed in a distinct way, and so actually you're able to understand and just enjoy it more because of yeah, it's a lot more accessible in that point of view. Another really cool thing with me and autism is that I'm able to absorb information like a sponge if I'm taught in the right way. And it's kind of one of the reasons why I've got quite a deep kind of breadth in terms of my knowledge, because lots of things interest me, and it is finding those kind of more stronger bits, um, which I have, and being able to apply it in different ways, although it may not necessarily seem like that could be the case from first sight. Another bit is so I will face meltdowns and shutdowns, which these differ from a tantrum, where a tantrum is tends to be more intentional in terms of trying to get your own way, but a meltdown is more the sense of a complete lack of control, and it's a response of trying to overcome overpowering kind of sensory issues or anxiety. And the kind of difference between a meltdown and a shutdown is that shutdowns tend to be a lot less visible. So it might be somebody just going quiet in a conversation, and then suddenly their mood just suddenly changing like that. But it can actually have as big as an impact as a kind of a meltdown. Where when I was little, it tended to be me hiding under a table a lot of the time. Another way how autism affects me is because it has affected the kind of processes in the brain, and it's something you get from birth through genetics. Then I've got extended joints, so like my toes, for instance, are actually really bony, and also the way I walk is quite different as well, partly from how I've learned to walk and observations of how other people walk as well, how actually it differs a bit. Another thing I love, which is through kind of autism, is the kind of need for kind of order and structure, and this helps reduce kind of anxiety from unexpected situations. And as a kind of response to these unexpected situations, then as a whole, so I'm actually really creative and a big kind of outside of the box thinker, but also problem solving as well. I'm really strong at, which again links into the sciences, into the maths. And there's an interesting kind of statement that's thrown about where the kind of number of problems solved in a normal person's day is actually the number solved by the time of somebody with a disability, by the time they've gotten up and had breakfast. And so there's a lot more kind of problems going on, and so because of that, that tends to be a lot more stronger. And also lastly, so because I like to process things, then I have something called a hard focus, which basically means I'm able to focus and concentrate on things for really long periods of time, of which can actually be really beneficial. So if there's a problem, or if there's something going on which you're trying to work out the best solution to, then I can be really good at doing that. Although there's a slight issue sometimes where um, I miss things from a kind of a bigger picture perspective. And yeah, so that's basically a bit about how autism affects me. I hope this helps, and please let me know if you have any more questions or areas you'd like me to discuss more about. So either do that by commenting, or you can email me at the blueambersaga@gmail.com. And this is the Blue Amber Saga.